Hey, good evening, folks. Rich Tatum here. Listen, I wanted to make a few comments on the airline crash that happened in Washington, D.C. at Ronald Reagan Airport, based on the fact that, I spent 18 years in the military as a pilot, and I spent 5 years as an airline pilot. I flew into Washington Reagan National Airport dozens of times as an airline pilot, and I found a good video that shows the audio as well as an air traffic control sequence of what happened for this accident. And so I've watched it pretty closely. I want to give you my take on it. I'll put the description and a link to the video below here in the YouTube description. So if you watch this video, you will see that there are three aircraft that are kind of involved in this situation. There's Pat 25, which is a helicopter. Okay, that's a military Black Hawk Sikorsky helicopter. Then there is flight 5342. You will see that in the video it says JIA 5342. JIA is the International Civilian Aviation Organization code for PSA Airlines, JIA. So that's PSA flight, which is an American Airlines subsidy, is coming in to land. And you're going to see it's coming in like this, and it's going to make a left turn eventually and try and land on runway 33. So that's JIA 5342. The third plane that starts, you don't see it at the beginning of the video, but it comes in from the bottom, is American Airlines Flight 3130. You'll see that as AAL 3130. AAL is also coming in. I'm not sure whether they're going to land on runway 1 or on runway 33 where the PSA aircraft is going to land. But they're both coming in from the south approaching the airport, right? So you will hear the controller twice ask the helicopter, do you have traffic in sight? One time he specifically says, do you have the CRJ in sight? He says that the CRJ is south of the river. But the problem here is that both those aircraft at one point are south of the river. One's a little higher coming in to land at Reagan National, and one's lower, right? So JIA PSA 5342 is at 1,200 feet. American Airlines is higher out, probably about 3,000 feet or so. So what I'm almost positive that happened here is that the helicopter pilots, when the tower said, "Do you have your traffic in sight?" and the pilot says, "Yes, we do," and visual separation is requested, the pilots of the helicopter are seeing that second plane, American Airlines Flight 3130. They don't, for some reason, because it's lower, maybe because it's lower, it's blending in with all the lights and the background lights there, in Washington, D.C., which is a pretty lit up area. And as a pilot myself, if I get a traffic call and I look up and I see a plane coming towards me and I say, yep, that's the plane. But if there's two planes out there, but I only see the one and I get my eyes fixed on that, and then I look over at my co-pilot and he's like, hey, do you see that one? I'm like, yeah. So now we're just watching that thing, right? And that's really the only explanation here, because there's no reason that if the helicopter had seen the lower plane closer to the ground and closer to the airport, 5342, he wouldn't have hit it, because the second time you'll hear in the tower there's an air traffic collision warning that goes off. And the tower guy, he's kind of irritated. He's like, because he thought that he'd given visual separation to the helicopter, and the helicopter is supposed to be maintaining visual separation from all other traffic. That's what that means. Is like when you accept visual separation as a pilot, you're now responsible for visual separation with all of aircraft. The tower really at that point is a secondary backup. So the alarm goes off, and you hear the tower controller go, "Hey, Pat 25, do you have your traffic in sight?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, we got it." He's like, "Okay, pass behind it." Visual separation. And so that you could tell that the pilots of the helicopter, they think they have their traffic in sight. They think they got it all covered. And so that's really what happened here, is that a big mistake on the helicopter pilot's part. I'm not sure what the controller seemed to do what he was supposed to do. He pointed out the traffic. The problem was there were two planes out there, and at night, and it's dark, all these lights flashing around, and you see one plane, but you don't see the other one, and they're both kind of in the same position south of the bridge there, and you get fixated on the one, and you're climbing. You can also, you'll see at the bottom of those images of the planes, you'll see that Pat 20 or Pat 25, you'll see three numbers at the bottom. It's like 003, and it's climbing, right? So I think it starts out at 002. That's how high above the ground it is, 200 feet. You'll see that JIA 5342 is coming down 500 foot. So what's happening is the helicopter is coming up like this, and when a helicopter climbs and takes off and is climbing a lot of times, it'll be tilted a little bit forward, right? So they're not looking up necessarily, because that's where that, you know, that 5342 is coming in like this, right? And they're looking out the window and they see that other plane farther out. Maybe they can't see this plane up here, and so you'll see that it's 500. This 200 for the helicopter, 500 for 5342, 300 for the helicopter, 400 for 5342, and then they just, you know, unfortunately hit each other, and what a shame. And I remember when I heard about this, and I thought to myself, this is the most controlled airspace in all of the United States of America. How could this happen? And hindsight's 2020, but I just can't believe that there are helicopters crossing the final approach paths within 1,000 feet of the ground, crossing in between planes, right? Because you got American Airlines 3130 out here, probably on a 3-mile final. You got 5342. It looks like it's about on a 1-mile final, getting ready to make a left turn and come in on 33. And they're gonna try and scoot that helicopter right through the two of them at night. Yeah, that shouldn't happen. That's way too much traffic and way too much going on in that kind of airspace at night, and it's just a shame. And hopefully we'll learn lessons from all of this, and God bless the families. But watch the video and see if you agree, and tell me what you think in the comments. May God have mercy on all their souls.